So we're going to talk about how to add fractions. We're going to start with something real simple. So if I need to add 1/2 plus 1/4, remember the first thing we always need to look for when we're adding fractions is that common denominator. So what I need to figure out, what is the least common multiple for 2 and 4? Now remember, if you're not sure what that is, you can always go back to making your division ladders, and you can put your denominators inside of your division ladder and ask yourself what you can divide 2 and 4 by. Well, because 2 is even and 4 is even, we know we can divide 2 and 4 by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now my factors are 1 and 2 at the bottom of my ladder, and I know I'm finished because there's nothing that I can divide 1 and 2 by. So remember, we are going to highlight our L. Sorry about that. So we're going to highlight the L here. So remember, we're going to multiply 2 times 1 times 2. Well, 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. Remember, you can list the multiples of your numbers as well as of your denominators, but that actually takes a while sometimes if your denominators are a little bit different or bigger numbers. So the multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8. The multiples of 4 would be 4, 8, 12, and so on. And then here you can easily see that 4 would be the least common multiple. But pretty soon you won't have to keep going through all those steps. You'll just know that 4 is the denominator that you should use. All right, so now that we have 4 as a common denominator, that second fraction already has a denominator of 4, so there's nothing I have to do to that one. But if I look up here, I know I have to get from a 2 to a 4. So then I ask myself, what do I have to multiply 2 times to get 4? So I'm going to do 2 times 2 to get 4, and we're going to use what's called the property of 1. What we're really doing is multiplying that fraction by 2 halves, but we're keeping that equivalent. So 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. Now if you look at the fraction 2/4, you know that's equal to 1/2, right? So if we order a pizza, and that pizza was divided into 4 slices, and I ate 2 slices, I could either say that I ate 2/4 of the pizza or I ate half the pizza. So now that we've got our common denominators, all we have to do is add. So I've got my 2 plus 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3. Now your denominators you do not add together. So your denominator is going to stay a 4. And then the last thing that you want to do is ask yourself if that fraction is in simplest form. So if we want to think about the factors of 3, I know 3 is a prime number, so the only factors are 1 and 3. And the factors of 4 are 1 times 4 and 2 times 2. So here we can see the greatest common factor is 1, and that's when you know your answer is in simplest form. So our final answer for this problem would be 3/4. All right, now we're going to try one a little bit harder. What if I'm going to add 2/5 plus 1/3? So now I've got denominators of a 5 and a 3. Well, I could come up here and list out my multiples of 3. So the multiples of 3 would be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so on. The multiples of 5 would be 5, 10, 15. Oh, look at that. So 15 is the least common multiple of 3 and 5. Now, if you wanted to make a division ladder, we also could have done that. Now, when we are trying to decide what we would divide 3 and 5 by, we know that 3 is a prime number and 5 is a prime number. If both of the numbers are prime inside of your division ladder, then we're going to multiply those numbers together, and 3 times 5 is 15. So either listing out your multiples or by using a division ladder, we would have determined that 15 is the common denominator for 2/5 and 1/3. So I know that I'm going to have a 15 down here for both of my denominators. And then I'm going to ask myself, okay, how am I getting from a 5 to a 15? Well, 5 times 3 is 15. And again, we're using that property of 1. What we're really doing is multiplying by 1, but we're calling that 1 3/3. So we're keeping that 2/5 equivalent. So my denominator, 5 times 3 is 15, and 2 times 3 is 6. Now I'm going to look over here at my 1/3. So I know that 3 times 5 is 15. So I'm really multiplying my 1/3 times 5/5. So 1 times 5 is 5. I'm going to add my numerators. My 6 plus 5 is 11. I'm going to add my I'm not going to add my denominators. My denominators are 15. So then I've got 11/15. I know 11 is a prime number, and I know 11 is not a factor of 15. So now I have my answer in simplest form, 11/15. All right, problem number 3, getting a little trickier. What if I'm going to add 4/5 plus 14/15? Now, one thing that you can do with numbers like this, similar to when we were cross canceling, you can ask yourself if 5 is a factor of 15. If one of your denominators is a factor of the other denominator, then you're going to use that bigger denominator as your common denominator for the two. So now I know that I can leave my 14/15 the same, but I know I'm going to have to change something up here. So somehow that 5 is going to have to become a 15. Well, we know that 5 times 3 is 15, and 4 times 3 is 12. So now I'm ready to add since I have my common denominator. So 12 plus 14 is 26, and my denominator stays the same. Now we should immediately recognize this is an improper fraction. We know that when we have a numerator that's greater than its denominator, that is an improper fraction. So now I've got to do something with my 26/15. Remember, this fraction bar means divided by. So this is asking, what is 26 divided by 15? What is 26 divided by 15? Well, I know 15 times 1 is 15, and 15 times 2 is 30. 30 would be too much. So 15 can only go into 26 once. 15 times 1 is 15. 6 minus 5 is 1. And 2 minus 1 is 1. Remember that remainder becomes your numerator, and that denominator has to stay a 15. So my final answer to this problem is 1 and 11/15.